Good morning all of you. Let's start the chapter, the agriculture in India, the second session. And as you can see on your screen, you can see there is a green revolution. So we are going to start about the green revolution, that how the green revolution has affected the Indian agriculture. So the green revolution, if you study about the green revolution, the history of green revolution is about it was started in 1930 in America, USA, and the father of green revolution is known to be Norman Borlaug. So he was the man actually who has introduced this theory about the green revolution. And according to this revolution, he has started the agriculture. And in this type of agriculture, so usually the hybrid seeds are the seeds which usually develop in the laboratory so that they can produce more harvest. So the hybrid seeds usually were been used, and to just help the seeds, more chemical fertilizer, then the pesticides to control the pests and insects, and the advanced the agricultural tools, and beside this the artificial means of irrigations were used to boost this agriculture. So this was known as the green revolution, which was started in 1930 in USA. From here it came to Europe, and in India it was introduced in the late 1960s, that was in 1967-68. So we usually call it late 1960s. And in India also, when this green revolution was introduced in late 1960s, and the first state actually who grabbed the whole opportunity was Punjab. So we can say it was first introduced in Punjab, and the other states, they were afraid to just use this technology, use this thing, the green revolution, this thought pattern. Well, but when they saw the upliftment and the growth of the agriculture in Punjab, so other states also, they have introduced it in their respective states. And this is how in next 10 years, late 70s, this green revolution was spread all over India. Well, now you can find actually this type of agriculture has become so common that now it is known as the conventional method of farming. Conventional means, I already explained you the meaning of conventional, means traditional method. So this method, the green revolution, now it has overtaken the old method of agriculture, and now it is known as the conventional method of agriculture. Well, now after 50 years, and if you find it in America when it was introduced in 1930, so since 1930 now it is about 90 years. So about 90 years, after 90 years, the ill effect of the green revolution can be seen all over the world. And there are the different voices been raised by the different organizations, the different groups of people. But as it is not in your syllabus, so we are not going to discuss this. So I will just going to explain you about only the green revolution. So this green revolution, usually it is known as the Intensive Agriculture Development Program. In short, it is called IADP. So when this green revolution was introduced in India, there were some following measures were adopted to help this revolution. And the measures which were adopted by the government of India, they were the first of all, the use of high yielding variety of seed. High yielding variety means HYV seeds. In short, we call it the hybrid seeds. The next is the irrigation. Now this hybrid seeds, they need a lot of irrigation, and so many artificial means of irrigation were developed all over India. in which so many canals were developed, dams were constructed, many tanks were developed there in the places where the construction of canal was difficult, and different artificial means of irrigation were introduced so that the farmer can use the more and more irrigation. Next, the use of insecticide and pesticide to control the pest and disease on the farmlands. Then the consolidation of the holdings. Consolidation of the holding means in the different in Hindi there is a one word chak bandi. Some of you may have heard about this word. So the land in the different rural areas were properly distributed among the farmers. So that is known as the consolidation of holdings. Next is the land reforms. Land reforms means in the lands actually which were barren, which were left as a fallow land. I explained you about the meaning of the fallow. So they were treated well, and again the farmers were motivated to start the farming there also. Rural electrification, because especially in the tube well needs the electricity. Next, improved rural infrastructure in which the dispensaries, then the primary schools and good roads were developed. That is known as the infrastructure. Rural infrastructure was also developed. Supply of the agricultural credit. In this actually you may some of you know about the rural banks. In Hindi we call it Grameen Bank. So in the different bank you can find there are so many. This Grameen Bank were introduced so that the credit can be given to the farmers. Then use of chemical fertilizers. First of all, these chemical fertilizers were distributed among the farmers at subsidy. Then opening of the many agricultural universities so that the farmers and the different people they may be trained well. So these all measures were taken so that together the agriculture sector can be given a boost, and the result has been seen. And what happened after the introduction of this green revolution in the late 1960s, and India became self-dependent, especially in agriculturally. And before that actually the India, even in the so many agricultural products, India have to import the so many agricultural product. But this green revolution, it just made our country self-dependent, especially in the field of agriculture. Now next, let's see about the problems of Indian agriculture. Now usually the farmers they experience so many different types of problems. So let's see one by one. The first problem the Indian farmers they face is the small and fragmented land holdings. Now usually if you find in the rural areas the population is very high, and especially the people they are having many children. So what happened? 4 or 5 generation back, the farmers who were having very big farmlands, so what happens, because they were having 8-9 children, so it was all distributed in the 7-8 different parts among their children. The next generation again, these children they again have 4, 5, 6 children. So like this actually every time in every generation these farmlands which were once were very big, so it was all after distribution among the children. Now the farmers, most of the farmers, they are having a very small piece of land, and this is why they can't able to grow the crop what they want to grow, and usually they grow the food crops. So that is the most important problem here in our country, and especially in the North India it is very common. Then the second thing is the poor quality of seeds. Now especially in India, if you'll find the farmers who were having a small farmlands, now they can't actually able to buy the expensive seeds. So this is why they use the same old seeds, means the same seeds which is been left over or they used to save from the previous harvest. So they sow it in their field, and that's why they don't get the proper yield, and the quality of these seeds are very poor. And this is the second problem which is usually been faced by the farmers. Then next is that third problem is the lack of proper use of manure and fertilizer. Now the farmers, usually most of the farmers are illiterate in the rural areas, and they don't know actually that how much manure and the chemical fertilizer is being mixed together so that the proper nutrients can be supplied to the plants. And in this actually what happened, because they don't either they use large amount, means more amount of the fertilizer or less amount, and that affects the field, and this is why they get the poor yield. The another problem which has been faced is the pest and disease. Now usually to protect the crops in the field, the farmers they need the proper use of the insecticide, pesticides and the herbicides, but because of the lack of the knowledge, proper knowledge, so the farmers they are not able to use it properly. Even they are having the pesticides and the insecticides and the herbicides and weedicides, and but the thing is they don't know how to use it properly, and that's why they most of the farmers in the field actually their crops is being affected by the pest and disease, which actually destroy their crops. And the fifth problem is traditional upbringing. Now usually the farmers they are using the same old methods, and because of their illiteracy, less education, so they don't know how to use the scientific method on their farmland, and that's why that is also another problem. Then the sixth problem is the heavy rainfall in the areas. Usually during the monsoon season, many areas in our country they receive very heavy rainfall, and this heavy rainfall usually affects the soil. And because the farmers they don't know how to maintain their fertility of the soil, and so what happened, this heavy rainfall it just washes away the topsoil of their farmland, and thus it affects the fertility. Next is the erratic nature of rainfall. Already we have discussed about this, that the India receives a very erratic type of rainfall. Usually first of all the rainfall never arrives on time. Sometimes it arrives early, sometimes it arrives very late. And in this actually what happened, many farmers actually who are expecting the rainfall and they sow the seed, but what happened in that, usually during that time the rainfall occurs very late, and that affects their crop. And sometimes it arrives early, when also their crops is affected. And the eighth problem is the floods and the drought. Now usually in the India you will find the rainfall in our country is, the distribution of rainfall is very uneven. Some areas receives very heavy rainfall, while some areas receives a very dry period of rainfall, means droughts are very common in those areas. And this makes actually the natural calamities, these natural calamities and all these things together, they also affect the agricultural production. Next is the excessive pressure on the land. Now usually, as all of you know, that our country is having a very large population, and still it is growing, and this is how the land actually has very high pressure to just produce more and more food crop to feed the large population. And this actually excessive pressure on the land, because of this the farmers what they do, you will find most of the farmers in the summer season, which we call the kharif season, and usually they grow the rice crop. Then in the rabi season, that is in winter, they grow the wheat, again rice, and both the crops are very exhaustive. They exhaust the soil, and the soil becomes infertile. And this is what actually in most of the farmlands has been seen, that how the soil, the farmlands have lost its fertilities, and this is also one problem. And why they are doing this? They are doing this? Because of the excessive pressure on the land. Then the last problem is the low yield. Now the average yield in our country, the yield of the crops is very low. In compared to the other countries, we are having a very low yield. Now behind all these things there are so many problems. Already we have seen, because of the so many problems what we have discussed. Because of all those problems, the most of the farmlands, where the farmlands are very small in size, so they don't contribute in the production of anything. Means the farmers, whatever they grow, they just grow it for their family. So these are some problems which has been faced by the Indian agriculture. Now next point is the types of farming in India. all the farming in India usually is kept into two categories. Now what are these two categories? So let's see here. The first is the subsistence farming and second is the commercial farming. Now what is the meaning of subsistence farming? Subsistence farming means when the farmers they grow crops for their only need, to just feed their family, to support their family. This type of farming is known as subsistence farming. And the second one is called commercial farming, in which the farmers they used to grow crops especially so that they can sell in the market and they can earn, means they can make money. Well, so these are the two types of farming usually can be seen all over the world. So in the subsistence farming, let's see here, there are two types of farming is kept here. The first farming is the primitive type. Primitive type, as the word tells you, this is called the backward type of agriculture, in which the farmers they use the old simple tools, the old tools and the primitive techniques to grow the crops. And especially in the very backward areas, very remote areas, rural areas, the farmers which are having a very small piece of land, they are still practicing the same type of primitive agriculture. So especially you can find this type of agriculture being practiced especially in the farm, especially in the rural areas where the farmers are having small land and they are also very poor. So second is the shifting agriculture, which is also known as the slash and burn agriculture, or it is also called jhuming. Now what is jhuming? Let's see here. This word is very important, you may underline it. This question has been asked many times. The question will be asked, what do you mean by jhuming, or explain jhuming, or what is the which type of farming is jhuming, where it is practiced, which parts of in our country it is practiced, what is being done. This type of questions can be asked, only the language they can change. Well, so let's see what is jhuming. In the northeastern part of our country, northeastern means there are the so many states like Arunachal Pradesh, there is Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya. So all these states together, they are known as the northeastern states. So in these states usually so many different types of tribal people usually they live, and they still many of these areas, usually large part of these southeast states, they are covered with the very dense forest, and in these forests there lives the different types of tribal people. And what they do, so first of all, when they have to grow some crops, they just burn a piece of large piece of forest area, and they practice agriculture. Now usually they don't know how to just maintain the fertility of the soil. So what happens, after 3 and 4 years the land becomes barren, and so they shift to another place. Again they just burn the area of forest and they practice the agriculture. But the thing is, the land which they have left, so it is exposed to the rainfall, to the wind, and what happens, and further the rainfall, the heavy rainfall and the wind, they further just depletes the soil, and that area just become totally barren. So this is how this type of agriculture is. First of all, it is called shifting agriculture. That's what is also known as the slash and burn type of agriculture, or jhuming. And this type of agriculture is very dangerous especially for the forest. So these are the two types of subsistence farming being practiced in our country. Now let's move to the commercial farming. So commercial farming, there are the two types of commercial farming is being used. So let's see. The number one is the intensive commercial farming. Intensive commercial farming is being used especially in those areas where the population is very high and the agricultural land is small. So usually the farmers they grow, first of all they use all the scientific method, they use the green revolution, and they just try to grow more and more yield per hectare. And they grow crop in all the 3 seasons. If the irrigation is available, they grow the crops in all the 3 seasons, and if not 3, at least 2 seasons, both Rabi and Kharif season, right, twice a year. Usually the farmers they grow the crops. So this is called the intensive commercial farming. Next is the extensive commercial farming. Now usually these type of farming is been practiced in those areas. Now extensive commercial farming is very common in the temperate grasslands of the world, like the prairies in North America, steppes in the Eurasia, and velds in South Africa, then the temperate grasslands that is called downs in Australia, and all these temperate grasslands, usually because the land is, there is a large land is available and the population is very very small, and so the people, what they do, the whole year they only grow one crop, especially in these areas the wheat is grown. Well, in India actually, it is usually everywhere we are having a very very high population, and so it is not possible, the extensive commercial farming is not possible in our country, but still in some part of the south and some parts where the population is population density is very less and the land, excessive land is available, so the farmers they practice this extensive commercial farming. Well, now next is the plantation farming. Now plantation farming is also a type of a commercial farming. Now what is the plantation farming? Usually the plantation farming was this type of farming was introduced by the Britishers and in the 19th century. And what happened in these plantation farming, the usually only one type of crop, means the plant crop, is grown in the very very big farms. Like example, the rubber plantation. So there are the big rubber estates are there in which you can find only the rubber plants. Then there are the tea estates, coffee estates. So in these big farmlands only the coffee is grown or the tea is grown. Or example, there are spices, different types of spices are grown as a plantation farming. Coconuts is been grown. So usually there are some main features of plantation farming. Now this plantation farming, you can underline it, this can be important. So the some important features of the plantation farming is, the first of all, the plantation farming needs a large capital, large sum of money. Second, vast extensive estates, very very big lands. Then managerial ability. Now they are actually usually the managers are needed to just manage everything, because usually these estates are very very big. Then the technical know-how, and especially all these different plants usually are grown by the different methods, and the yield is also harvested in different way. Example, you can find you can take the example of rubber tree. And the rubber tree, usually what happens, the latex is tapped, and the tapping of this latex is totally a different it needs very trained workers and techniques is needed. Then sophisticated farm machineries, and next one is the fertilizers and good transport facilities. So these are the some main features of plantation farming. Now usually this plantation farming can be seen in the different parts of our country, especially like in Assam, you can find Assam, and in the Darjeeling, right, in West Bengal, that is in the Darjeeling region, and there you can find so many tea states. In Nilgiris also you can find the tea states and the coffee states. In the on the slopes of the Annamalai hills and the Cardamom hills and the Western Ghat, in many areas you can find different types of spices usually are grown. Banana is grown, cinchona, rubber, coconut, palm oil. So these are the different crops which are usually grown in the plantation farming. You can underline this line, it is given here, the names are given: tea, coffee, coconut, palm oil, spices, banana, cinchona, rubber. And these are the region, you may underline it: Assam, Sub-Himalayan, West Bengal in the north, and Nilgiris, Annamalai, Cardamom hills in the south. So these are the areas. So if the question will be asked which area the plantation farming is been done, so this is the answer. And which crops usually are grown, so these are the crops. Now next, the mixed farming. Let's see what do you mean by the mixed farming. You may underline here, this line you may underline: cultivation of crops and the rearing of livestock is done simultaneously. So this line is very important. So the mixed type of farming is the farming in which the cultivation of crops and the rearing of cattle is done side by side. So this is known as the mixed farming. In many areas now, even in the North India, many rural areas, now the farmers are practicing this type of farming, because now the next generation, because they are not getting any job there, and that's why they know that their future is in the rural area, and they want to just make it better, and that's why now they are choosing new methods of farming, the new techniques. So this mixed farming is becoming very very common even in North India, in the different parts of the different rural areas. Now here in this mixed farming, some important the features are given here, you may underline here. The first is the advanced technology. So the first of all, the mixed farming needs the advanced technology. Second is best quality of seeds and modern machineries and proper use of the chemical fertilizer. Then the third is the crop rotation. This is very important, proper crop rotation. So that, now what is the crop rotation? Crop rotation, in the whole year whatever the crop the farmer grow, it is called crop rotation. Now when the proper crop rotation means, when the farmers, suppose if they grow the wheat, then the next crop they grow the pulses, or means pulses are the crops which increase the fertility of the soil, while the crops like the rice and the wheat and sugar cane, they exhaust the crop. So usually in the proper crop rotation, the farmers try to grow, if one crop, if they are growing the exhaustive crop, so another crop they used to grow either legumes or the root crops like beet and turnip, or beans and the peas, which actually maintains the fertility of the soil. So they underline it here, this whole line is important. And next, in addition to this farming, growing of the cultivation of these crops, and farmers they also practice poultry, dairy farming and horticulture. Now what is the meaning of horticulture? Horticulture means growing of the fruits and vegetable is called horticulture. So together with the cultivation of the crops, the farmers also practice the dairy farming and poultry and even the fisheries, right? Nowadays goatry also, right? So different types of now the cattle and the animals means are reared. Even the horticulture, now vegetables also has been grown. So they are doing together. So this is known as the mixed farming. Now the next is let me explain you about the monoculture. Now here it is not given monoculture, you may write here monoculture. So same as mixed farming, single crop plantation, it is written here, you may write here, just add here monoculture. Now what is the meaning? Because this word is not given here, but this is important term. Monoculture means when, like example, I have given you one example. In the prairies of America, the farmers, means usually the farming is done by the companies, big companies, they own the big land and they grow only wheat. And especially why they grow the wheat? So that they can sell it in the international market. Well, so the whole year they only grow one crop, that is the wheat, and the rest part of the year the land is just left there, nothing is grown, and next year again they grow the wheat. So this, when the only one crop is grown in the whole field, that is called monoculture. Now this monoculture cropping is also can be seen in the plantation farming. In the plantation farming, when once the tea plant is grown, or the coffee is planted, or maybe the rubber tree are planted, so they actually they capture that whole land, the whole area for so many years. So this is why only one crop can be grown. So this is also known as the single crop plantation or the monoculture. So this is called single crop plantation, and that word I told you to write it, monoculture. So write it. Next is the organic farming. So this is a new term. Organic farming has been introduced in India also recently, and many of you must be knowing about the organic farming. And but the thing is, many people, they don't know the meaning of organic farming. Only organic word doesn't tells you everything. Now let me explain you what do you mean by the organic farming. So the organic farming is when the farmers they grow crops without the help of any chemical fertilizer. They don't use any chemical fertilizer, they don't use any pesticide, insecticide, means they don't use any type of chemical and toxic in their field, and even they don't use the genetic what we call it, GMO, genetically modified seeds. GMO seeds means genetically modified seeds. The seeds usually are genetically modified in the laboratory, and that's why these seeds are called hybrid seeds. So usually they are genetically modified seeds, and not all, but many of the genetically modified seeds, they are having a negative effect on the human health. And this is why the farmers, they don't use such type of GMO seeds which actually can affect the health of the human beings in their field. And so without the help of these things, when the farmers grow the crop, and that is called the organic farming. So organic farming, in the book it is written, organic farming is a system which avails the use of synthetic inputs such as chemical fertilizer, pesticides, feed, adhesives, etc. So this is organic farming. Now in the organic farming, some agricultural methods are very, very important. Now which type of method? One, I told you, crop rotation. So crop rotation, proper crop rotation is very important. Then the use of the green manure. This green manure is also known as the biomass. Then the biological pest control. Instead of the using the pesticide and the insecticide, the farmers, they use the biological method. And this biological method is also known as the integrated pest management. Now what is the integrated pest management? Integrated pest management, I am just giving you one example. Now example is the farmers from very ancient time, the farmers, what they do to control the rodents in their farmlands. Rodent means the rats and the mice. So they usually leave the snakes, and the snakes, they control the rats and the mice. Well, the same way, all the bacteria, all the insects are not harmful. Very few of them are harmful actually, and most of the insects and bacteria, they are useful, and especially they control the harmful one. So the integrated pest management is a branch of science which deals with finding out the insects, that which insects are harmful and which are useful, and by using the useful insects to control the harmful one, and this is called the biological pest control. And next one is the compost. And recently you may have heard about one thing, that vermicompost, and it has very demand actually in the market, and in the many gardens also. The people whoever have the garden in their home, so they also use this manure. We call it the vermicompost. So these are the important things. So this chapter is over now. So this is the first part, the first chapter of agriculture. So next period we're going to start the second chapter of the agriculture. So this chapter is over. So all of you just revise this chapter, read it, and find out the answers given in the exercise here. Okay, so all the best.